Hello and welcome to Albinism Life with me, Christina Venning-Rose. In this episode, we're going to chat about siblings. So I guess the idea from this came from my own past, chatting with my sisters. I never really thought when I was a child that it would be any different, me being their sister, to anybody else. But as an adult, I realised that they did have different thoughts and they did have different feelings because I was their sister. And there were different challenges too. So I chatted with Erin, who is 17. She has a younger sister, Harriet, who has albinism, who is 15. We're really honest and we have an open conversation about what it's like. Erin talks about the struggles that Harriet has sometimes and how hard this is for her because Erin feels like she can't really help Harriet, and that makes her feel really bad because she has a deep love for her sister. We talk about the positives of having a sibling with albinism, and we also talk about identity and just growing up and being a teenager in 2024 and how that is if you are a bit different from other people. So join me at the end of this episode to find out how to get in touch, but I started off by just asking Erin to tell me a little bit about herself.
I go to sixth form currently. I take sociology, politics and art. I'm 17 and my sister Harriet with albinism is 15. She is going into year 11, so doing her GCSEs this year, which is all a bit stressful in the house. We both enjoy singing very much, so we share our passion together, and we've done a few like open mic nights together in the pubs, and we've both done a choir since we were very little. She had to stop it because she goes to a private school now, which the government pay for, which is great because she's got albinism. And so she does photography, drama and music. Music's very hard because the chords for her, and I think it's slightly harder because it's hard to see the notes and stuff. I think her teachers do enlarge it, but most of the time the teachers don't enlarge work. But luckily it's a online school, so she can see all of her work on the computer. So it's a lot better than her previous school, which she couldn't see because the teachers were useless and didn't print off any work big enough. One time the teacher did print off a big sheet for Harriet. Obviously it was a lot bigger, not the words were just enlarged because the teachers don't know how to enlarge words apparently. But the teacher went around the classroom and said, here's a small sheet for you, a small sheet for you, and then he went around the whole classroom and he got to Harriet and he went, here's a big sheet for you. Harriet was mortified because that's obviously the most embarrassing thing, like a teenager, to have someone completely single her out in the classroom. So schools has been a bit difficult for her sometimes because teachers, they don't understand. They're just a bit ignorant.
How does that make you feel when she came home and told you that story? Like, how did it make you feel? What did you feel for her?
Anger. I was very annoyed. And it's found it really annoying. It's because I've grown up with it and I know what Harriet can see, and obviously I know to always look out for her and make sure she doesn't trip, but it really makes me upset, and especially as Harriet comes home crying after a really bad day and it's her friends. One time this boy texted her like after he knew about her sight. He said, oh, why didn't you wave back at me today? I waved at you from across the canteen. Well, she couldn't see you from across the canteen. What do you mean? But it's like, oh, God, it just really angers me because some people just don't understand.
Let's go back to when you guys were little. Is there a point that you remember your sister being different to other kids? Have you always known that? Or did your mum ever sit down and explain it to you?
I don't think there was ever a sit down talk. It was always just been the norm, accepted. And to be honest, in primary school, it was very easy because the teachers, I felt like they were more understanding, but I was younger and I probably didn't know as much. We had a really small school, so it was easy for her to see. And to be fair, at break times, I'd see Harriet on her own and I'd run over to her because I knew she couldn't see where her friends were, and sometimes they were a bit useless, so I had to guide her back to her friends. So that's when I felt like I needed to be a bit more responsible for her. So I was about probably year 5 and she was year 3. But I felt like I needed to take more responsibility. And then, yeah, it was her first secondary school where just noticed her mood was changing, and it was because she was really stressed, and bless her, it was a hard time. The school was rubbish for Harriet because the teachers were just awful.
Did you from a young age understand what albinism meant? Did you understand, just kind of learn what Harriet can and can't see, or explain to you?
I think I just learned gradually over time. The albinism fellowship events, I remember when I was a teenager, like 13, that was when I really understood the science behind it. Or maybe I was 15, because I was doing GCSEs and I understood that it was a recessive gene. But I always knew what she could and couldn't see, because Mum would say, Hattie sometimes, would lie and say she could see it, and then Mum was like, well, what does it say? And she'd say, I don't know. So it's like,
that old chestnut.
yeah, bless her. It's just so funny. You can sort of tell now. It's like, Harriet, can you see that? She's like, yeah. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, no. This is just funny. But I completely get, because it's sometimes embarrassing. But we're trying to come to that stage in Harriet's life where it's not embarrassing, and Mum's trying to like help her see that it just shouldn't be a thing that's embarrassed about. Because literally the other day, she was swimming. She obviously can't do ball sports with everyone in PE, which is very difficult for Harriet, bless her, and she can't. But her school's amazing because it has a swimming pool, it's really nice, and she's allowed to swim while they do PE, like ball sports and rounders and stuff. But a man came in and was like, what are you doing here? You're not meant to be in here. Like, what are you doing? I think he got a bit rude. And then Harriet didn't really say. Mum basically just said, you should have stuck up for yourself and said, this is my right to be in here. I'm supposed to be in. I think trying to get Harriet to just be more proud to say it and say like it is. But I know that's easier said than done.
Has Harriet been, when she was younger, was she open about what she couldn't see? Or has she always kind of been the same?
I think she's always been the same, to be honest. She finds it embarrassing, which is sad, but
it's really interesting because your whole family is really open about it, aren't you?
I think it's something in her. She's quite funny about it, but I think most of the time she is now, actually, and I do give her more credit now. Yeah, she does. She just sometimes says she can see things when she can't. I think Mum will agree.
When you were little, did your parents treat her differently to you?
No, I don't remember being treated differently at all. They just had to pay slightly more close attention to where, if we were on a walk, obviously Harriet was stepping, especially. Yeah, that's the thing. Walks, Harriet used to hate. She does get moody. She didn't like walking. It probably was the factor that she found it hard to see, especially when we went to Borneo last year. It was hot. The UV was high, easy skin burning. There was tree roots everywhere. It was not good for Harriet. Bless her. So she was quite annoyed then. But yeah. It's always been talked about.
And do you ever feel like you are responsible for her? Because I remember talking to my sister, obviously we're both grown-ups now, and she said when we were younger, she always had this feeling like she had a responsibility for me. Like she would naturally say there's a step or there's a something, and it's just what she did. But she always kind of had this underlying feeling like it was her part. Like she was never made to do that, but she just felt like it was her role.
Yeah, completely. I always feel like that. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's just love for my sister, and like I wouldn't have it any different. She sometimes finds it annoying when I say there's a step. She's like, yeah, I can see it. I'm like, well, I'm just reminding you, just in case. But especially on our holiday in the summer, because our parents weren't there, we went with our granddad and Jackie, and I felt like it was a much bigger responsibility for me. And our granddad and his partner, they were good, but they're older and they like sunbathing, and obviously that's not really feasible for Harriet. So
no, that doesn't work, sunbathing.
No, it doesn't really go. So I made sure she knew her way around, and whenever we go out, obviously she's old enough now, she remembers to put on sun cream, and she's very good at it. Just like the occasional reminder to put on sun cream and make sure she doesn't burn her face, because she burnt her face once and that was not very good. It was quite red, so never again. Definitely I feel a lot more responsibility.
So what stuff would you do for her that another sibling wouldn't do for their brother or sister?
So, well, now I drive her around.
Yeah, the driver.
Yeah, basically when there's a curb or if the path's uneven. So if we're on a walk, which we're a walking family, we do love walks. So if the ground's uneven, I'll just take her hand. She doesn't mind now. She will just take my hand because it's so much easier just to know she's got something there. Because otherwise she constantly has to be like really balanced, and if she's got someone's hand, she knows if she does trip, I'll just hold her back quickly. So my sister, she doesn't want to be always guided by mum and dad. She doesn't want to be babied because she's like growing up now. But because I like similar age, I'm 2 years older. I think everyone like relies on their big sister at some point, but because I don't think she minds as much me holding her hand, which is quite nice. Yeah, definitely. And just pointing out things and making sure my friends are aware. So if they're having a conversation and someone says, oh, look at this on their phone, and they hold it up here, I just go like, push the phone, like, yeah, go.
Are you quite good at being subtle about it?
Yeah, I'd say I have to be because Harriet gets embarrassed, which is a shame, but I'd say I'm a lot more subtle than mum and dad. Like, if Harriet trips, obviously mum and dad care about her so much, mum will be like, Harriet! And that's just the way mum is. Like, if anyone tripped, she'd be like that, but Harriet finds it really, really embarrassing because it's like, stop making a big deal. My granddad was like that on holiday as well, which Harriet found really annoying because we did a cooking course, which was so fun, but Grandad's partner was making sure Harriet was like doing every step right, but obviously Harriet can cook herself, like she bakes at home by herself and she's a very independent like person, but just she was making sure she knew everything. I was like, dear, Harriet's not gonna like that because it's quite obvious, but because I suppose when you grow up you don't get embarrassed as much, so you think the younger generation don't either, but I know because I've been Harriet's age.
Do you read things for her as well?
Yeah, if there's a sign I'll just read it. It's just not a problem at all. Like, I don't mind reading any sign.
And if you're going out for dinner or something, would you naturally tell her what was on the menu and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. So on our holiday with Granna and Jackie, there was a menu every night, and when we went out, because they love eating out, and I had to just tell, because we were at the same place, I told the waiter at the side, I said, excuse me, is there any chance you could just print it in a bigger size? Because the way Grandad said it, he made a massive deal, so I just said, just bigger, please, that's all we need. And still sometimes a bit too small, which is really annoying. So I just read it out and it's not a problem. I just find it annoying for Harriet, because I don't mind reading anything out all the time, but it'd be so much nicer for her to just feel like she can. And obviously I know it's never going to be like that, but it's just unfair, really. But Hattie does use her phone a lot now, so she'll just quickly like take a picture and then just zoom in, which is the good thing about phones, to be fair. And you can enlarge text messages and Snapchat stuff, and so.
And I heard a funny story that when you were out with your boyfriend in London. Tell me that story.
Yeah, so we went to London, like everywhere we went, because we were holding hands, like cute couple. And then when there was a step, I go, oh, there's a step, and I just like lift his hand to try and make sure he didn't trip over. And I was like, oh wait, he can see. So I didn't need to. Yeah, so I was constantly like lifting his hand up when there was a raise in the bump in the road, or I just point out like the signs. I'm like, oh, what says that? And he was like,
He probably thinks you're very attentive.
Yeah, which is good, I guess. Yeah, it's funny though.
How do you feel? So, like, obviously, Harriet dyes her hair, doesn't she, now? And so maybe it's not as obvious that she has albinism, but when she was younger and she didn't, people stare because you look different. How did that make you feel, or how does it make you feel when you see people staring at Harriet?
Well, everyone's always stared at her. For example, when we went to hairdressers, they'd love it, and Harriet would love it because they're also complimentive. They were like, wow, I've never seen this cool. Your hair's so blonde. How's it like this? It's white, it's amazing. People would pay to have your hair. And I was like, yeah, it's just natural. So she loved it then. And obviously I love it because it's someone celebrating it. But if you see people in the streets just staring, I find it really irritating. You could just do a quick glance or something. You don't really need to stare, because it's good because Harriet can't see them staring. So it's not, sometimes she can think. I guess people just stare at it because it's different. I just find it a bit rude to keep staring all the time.
Have you ever said anything to anyone?
No, because we've been passing them quickly, or I've been quite shy as well, so I haven't really wanted to. I've only started like come out of my shell now. We went to Colombia to see our cousins, we were on this, like, it wasn't, the golf buggies, it's that sort of thing. Dad was driving, and we didn't really know if we should be driving. And so then the police pulled us over. We were like, oh my gosh, we shouldn't be driving this. They pulled us over to take a picture with Harriet because they liked her hair and her eyes. No way. No way that just happened. Harriet loved it. She was like, yeah, I'm a celebrity. Look at me go. I was like... Sorry?
That's so cool, because that's positive, isn't it? That's not doing it to be a freak. That's because it's cool.
No, because they were like, this is so cool. I loved it. It was good. Well, at school, she's had, when people judge her or say mean things, like she's been called some horrible names. I get so angry at those stupid boys because they're just immature and just can't think.
Have you ever, I guess you weren't at the same secondary school, were you? Would you have challenged? Like, have you been there when people have said mean things to her before?
I'm trying to remember. Honestly, I don't think I have, because it was the stupid boys at school in their classes when they could get away with it when I wasn't there. Otherwise, I would have definitely said something, because it's so rude, it's unacceptable, and it just really annoys me. But no, I've definitely... I don't know. I think there's one boy, I had to text him because I was really annoyed because he says some really mean things. Someone called her a fat angel, which was like, how do you even come up with that? So insensitive, rude, and just what? Someone called her Jimmy Savile because she had white hair. That's so mean. But I suppose you're always going to get that. This is just really annoying.
Do you think that Harriet dyeing her hair, do you think that's as a result of people being mean, or is that just her being a teen and wanting to experiment like that, or do you think she wants to not look so obviously different?
I think it's a mixture of everything. Definitely lots of people in Ixworth affected her. I think most teenagers anyway want to just fit in and be normal. I'm the same. I've straightened some of my hair, I always putting on makeup and blah blah blah, but Hattie, I think it might have been me as well, because me and Harriet look really similar, except from obviously the fact that she's got white hair and white eyebrows and eyelashes, and because I've got brown eyebrows and eyelashes, you can see my sort of facial features more. And I think she just wanted to be able to see her eyebrows. And, people that are blonde nowadays, they dye their eyebrows as well. So I think she might have seen them on TikTok or something. She sees these influencers with like blonde. So they have brown hair and then they dye it blonde and then they still have their brown eyebrows. So I think she's sort of wanting to go for that image and look. I think she just prefers herself as well at looking like that. And I don't think necessarily that's wrong for her, but I'm not saying anyone else should. I think she looks beautiful, natural, and she does with her eyelash and eyebrows. But I think if it's going to make her happier and more comfortable in her own skin, like we all change parts of ourselves nowadays in society, and I think if she's going to be more confident, I think that's probably, it's not the best for her, but if it just makes her happier, I'm happier, to be honest. She likes getting on with the fashion trends and stuff like that. So I just like seeing her like happy and on holiday she looks so pretty. And I do like it when her hair's lighter though, because I think she just suits it better. But I think she looks really pretty.
And growing up, you guys have always gone to Albinism fellowship events. What did that mean for you, seeing other kids who had albinism, but also siblings who were in your situation? Was that important for you?
Yeah, I just really liked seeing Harriet not stand out and everyone sort of got it, because albinism is not that common, and in schools that she's always been the only one and blah blah blah. Everyone's always stared because it's not a common thing, but everyone knew what everyone was like on about, like, yeah, this thing at school. And we still have a group chat, and I'm on it actually, and everyone texted like, teacher did this the other day, or I don't know. It's not. I think it's nice for her to mingle with other kids who just get her, and you don't have to always explain yourself and be like, oh yeah, it's because I've got albinism, because I can't really see as well as you and me. But I find it interesting as well. The last one I went to, it was more informative about the science, because I said I was doing it for biology, so I actually understood it, which was quite fun. And I've also loved just meeting everyone there. Like, me and Harriet met these two really funny guys, and we just fell in love with them because they're so hilarious. When we went to
Alton Towers,
they were the funniest pair on the roller coasters, and they're just hilarious. Shem's a model, and then I think they all of the family were, but Shem's now got a really good career in modelling, and we still follow him on Instagram. We just love making friends there, and it's nice that. So his brother doesn't have albinism like me, and then he does like Harriet, so they can sort of relate, and then we can sort of, and we just like it because they're funny, to be honest. But it's nice to meet girls my age and hang out with anyone. It's just nice.
What do you think? What do you think? The biggest.
it is just a bit of, I don't want to say hard work, because I love Harriet to bits and I'll always be there for her, but you just constantly have to be aware, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just sometimes hard work. Or the thing that's quite hard is when she was younger, like 12, it was her mood, because she'd be constantly bullied, picked at. Sometimes people would make mean comments and the teachers wouldn't enlarge things. It was her mood when she got home. She'd sort of take it out on our house, and it was quite tiring because she'd always be grumpy. And then she'd say every day she felt sick. Like every day she'd wake up and say, I've got tummy ache, I can't go to school, because she just didn't want to go to school because it was like teachers. Now she's got in a better school, she's so much better mood, and it's just been great for everyone. And so I'm so pleased she's so happy. And it's just, I think it's hard when friends are mean to her as well.
There's not like a quick fix, is there? You can't change her situation and you can't change people's reactions, can you? That's how it is. I guess your job is to give her the confidence to just be able to move on, deal with it, because it's always going to be how it is. It's not going to change. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you'll still have those kind of challenges. Like, people are still mean to me as an adult, and you know,
awful.
People aren't necessarily that accommodating, but it's you just have to learn to
live in the best way. Like, she got really upset on holiday because she just couldn't, I don't know, steps were getting to her. She hates putting on sun cream. She wants to tan. She always wants to look. She just wants to fit in and just be able to see properly, to be honest, because it's like, I just want to see what's in front of me. I want to be able to read the menu. It was just, I just felt so horrible that, I don't know, it's just an annoying thing, but you just got to live with it and find the best solutions for you, and like learn to sort of tell people straight away. And so they can find, like, if you're meeting someone new, tell them, and then they can always be aware. And I don't know, not run into as many problems, but I just do feel really bad for her, and I just wish I could take it away, but it's not as simple as that. She said.
And what about the positives? What's a positive about having a sister with albinism?
Well, there's quite a few actually. So we've been to Centre Parks.
No.
So we've been to Centre Parks with a visually impaired group. I can't remember who it was, but it was very fun because I was very younger. So we went, like, obviously, and then Centre Parks was very fun. And we went to Kidzania. So we went with our friends, and we were pretending to be adults for the day in London. It's like a thing where you pretend to do so many jobs. Like, we pretended to be a supermarket assistant, which was really fun. But now I do it. I hate it. It was fun at the time. And then the best thing is now, because we love musicals and singing and everything, Harriet gets her ticket % off and her carer free. So if I go with Harriet to the West End, say watch Hamilton, 2 front row tickets will cost like £60. So it's like £30 each, when they'd normally be like 150 or whatever they are, 100. We went to see Mamma Mia, Back to the Future, Hadestown, Hamilton, Operation Mincemeat. Just love it. And one really good thing, we had this amazing guy, what was his name? Simon. So we went to the dry ski slope in Ipswich, and we met Simon, and he was so great with all the people with different vision impairments, and it was just vision, but this one girl was deaf and blind, but not completely, so she could just about see and hear. So everyone was different, but everyone was just skiing, and it was like the most amazing thing, because we'd never thought about Harriet skiing, because it's like a sport. First, it's hard. Even for me, it was hard. But she fell in love with it. Everyone fell in love with it. And the great thing was, we actually went to Austria with the group, and we did a skiing week with them, and it was the best experience ever, because Harriet just fell in love with skiing, and I think she loves it because, first of all, it's not too hot, which is great for her, and she can just go down the slope, and she's not scared of the edges like me. I'm scared I'm going to fall off the cliff and just crash into like a tree, or just crash. I'm just so scared
because she can't see him properly.
It's because she can't see where the edge is, which is one, slightly boring, and she's not afraid of heights. It's because she can't see the drop, so she just.
If you could give advice, so say you met another person who had a sibling with albinism and they were having a hard time, the person with albinism, what advice would you give to the sibling to support them?
You just have to sort of be understanding and sympathetic. You can't be empathetic because you don't know what they're experiencing. You can't say, oh well, you can't see this or you can see this. You can't be definite. You have to just understand what they might be feeling and then support them. And I think the best advice, especially if they're getting grumpy, just always try and stay calm and support them, and always read out things for them, and never not, because if you don't, you sort of just have to put them first at quite a lot of points in your life, because if you don't put them first, it's just completely unfair. They always come first because they're the one struggling with life, like seeing things, tripping, getting sunburnt. They have way more worries. You just have to try and be sort of really caring towards them.
Thank you so much for listening to that episode of Albinism Life with Erin. I really appreciate the honest chat that we had together. If you would like to get in touch, please drop an email to info@albinism.org.uk. And I hope you join me next for another episode soon. Take care. Bye.